We live in constant movement. We are surrounded by and live in a culture where we rely on goods, commodities, and there's a free market to supply us with it all. It's the modern age of consumer capitalism, where we've reached the point of a highly wasteful and discriminatory pattern of consumption, which defines hedonistic consumerism according to Andrea Miguan. To get to this point, we've decided that we are above nature because our current consumption lifestyle is at the expense of it. We are also apart from nature. We've lost sight of where our goods come from and what the true cause of it are. According to George Lakoff, we've conceptualized nature as other, and this separation is so deep in our conceptual system that we cannot simply wipe it from our brains. Nature has been framed not only by us, but also by powerful sources like the media. Our beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors relating to nature and environmental problems are mediated or influenced by communications, as explained by Robert Cox. The media can shape our perception of nature. The visualization of the environment plays a role into how we build a relationship with it. Nature can be viewed through two opposite gazes, the extractive and romantic, as explained by Hodgins and Thompson, who argue that the continued acceptance of extractive capitalism in Canada and elsewhere is predicated on the continued mutual implication of the romantic and extractive gazes. To explain these two gazes, we'll take as an example the advertisement campaign of the Toyota Fortuner. The ad is titled Unlock Your Freedom.
Hey Dave, I thought you said you were working from home this week.
Yeah, this is one of those digital backgrounds.
Very realistic.
It depicts a family that travels through various landscapes and terrains thanks to the vehicle, while the father pretends to work from home and his co-workers point out how realistic and beautiful his supposedly digital nature backgrounds look. The family is moving constantly to new landscapes while enjoying their time in nature. Thus, they are portrayed as explorers, taking an active role and interacting with nature. As Tkach argues in Selling Nature in a Resource-Based Economy, this context can seem consumptive. The ad ends with a text that says, "Experience the luxury of freedom." This advertisement depicts nature as an opportunity and a pleasure that leads to a pathway of freedom. It's an anthropocentric reading of nature, where nature, beautiful as it is presented as available for human conquest and advantage, according to Tkach. On the other hand, this is an advertisement also used by Toyota to promote a hybrid car, with a text saying "Nature Reinvented." Along with the other elements of the ad, it is implying that the car is environmentally friendly. It emphasizes the innate beauty of nature and its value, implicitly saying that the car is harmless to the environment and denying that it has a negative environmental impact, persuading consumers with the idea that this car is pro-nature and purchasing it and using it would bring the best out of nature. It's a greenwashing strategy. As explained by Robert Cox, greenwashing has become a common public relations strategy to mislead the public as to the ecological soundness of practices or products. So, this ad is minimizing the extractive gaze and accentuating the romantic one. Because buying this car means taking care of nature and preserving it, but in reality almost 3 times more copper is used to manufacture one of these models than for a conventional vehicle. These media visualizations of the environment construct nature as we know it, because the representations guide our ideas and meanings of the environment. The extractive gaze separates us from nature. It creates a distance in which we can continue to see nature as a resource to be exploited, as opposed to the romantic gaze that sanctifies nature as sublime. Timothy Morton explains in Ecology Without Nature that the romantic gaze is a subset of the extractive, arguing that romanticism should be read as a form of high-end consumerism. So, there's a romantic consumerism that portrays nature as something to protect, but at the same time, we are encouraged to consume. As argued by Julia Corbett in Communicating Nature, there is no other act, period, that communicates as much about your relationship with the environment as your consumption. We don't see beyond the products we are presented with. We are reducing nature to just resources, a service we can use and consume. As we have seen, the culture of consumerism imposed on us perpetuates our relationship with nature. It reinforces our disconnection with it and leads to a strong dichotomy. At a very basic level, our beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors towards nature are mediated by human modes of representation, according to Robert Cox. The different constructions and representations of nature through media like television ads, movies, books, newspapers, etc., can further separate us from nature because they prevent us from connecting with it. They show an anthropocentric view. Furthermore, there is a dichotomy between nature and culture. They can be seen as opposite ideas as we have developed and achieved our culture by going against nature. This has been constantly reinforced because nature is represented as a commodity that can be bought. The anthropocentric vision of nature distorts our conception of it. Through the romantic consumerism gaze, the media can lead us to think we need and want things we were unaware of, plus convincing us that we can consume while caring for nature. Julia Corbett argues that the environmental lifestyle being promoted and communicated by the marketplace is hedonistic and narcissistic. It's all about your enjoyment, your pleasure, and comfort, about you looking good and having the latest toys. Because consumerism is human centered, it has led to a detachment from nature. We have reduced nature to human ends. It's impossible to ignore the extractive and romantic gaze in today's society. That brings us to the last chapter, alternative ways of living. Not absorbed by consumerism, because there are different ways to envision our relationship with nature and the planet. For example, the ones followed by indigenous knowledge and culture, who have lived in harmony with nature. They've had the ways of connecting with the environment, seeing nature in its sublime form, and respecting it. One example is the Andean cosmovision, where culture and nature go together, and humans are not outside of or above nature. There is no subject-object separation. Human beings are part of life as a whole, as explained by Sarah Pilgrim and Jules Percy in Nature and Culture. So, there is no disassociation from humans to nature. There is not an extractive gaze of the world, because these communities have been living in non-westernized societies. They have not been greatly influenced by the media. They know nature not as a resource, but as part of their culture and way of life. Finally, it's clear the media can mold the perception individuals and society have about nature, and according to consumerist purposes, they can propose different romantic constructions, but with a mercantilist extractive objective that promotes hedonistic consumerism. And in cases where the media has no way of entering, as in the case for some indigenous communities, they continue to contemplate nature as a whole. This concludes that the media has a powerful influence on a society, influencing their habits, attitudes, and way of perceiving the world. However, despite the contradictory messages that downplay the importance and power of nature for humanity, we must remember that as individuals, we can also use the media to spread the true message and stop alienating ourselves from nature.